35. If the measure of angle SUT, well, SUT is right here in the middle, is 65 degrees. And I've told you in class several times, go ahead and write in these angles. It's going to make your life so much easier. 65 degrees. What is the measure of RUT? Well, we need to look and see what information we're given. We're looking for this angle right here. And somewhere around here I have my trusty crayons to make sure that we're talking about the same angle. So RUT is my blue angle. Somewhere over here I have SUQ is my green angle. And both angles have a single arch in them, which tells me that they are congruent. We remember that especially when we studied the characteristics of an isosceles triangle in which the two opposite sides of congruent sides were congruent angles. So, if I call one of these angles x, the other angle would also have to be x. So x plus x is 2x plus 65 is going to form a straight line which is equal to 180 degrees. 180 degrees, we then would subtract 65 from both sides of my equation, and we would determine that 115 is equal to 2x. 115 then divided by 2 would give me an x value of 57.5. And since my x value represents the measure of my angle is also 57.5 degrees. Problem 36. If the measure of angle DBC made in blue is half the measure of angle ABD. Now, there's two possible ways I could do this. I could call ABD, or whatnot, x, and call this 1/2 x. Or a simpler way for me is to call this 2x. Well, what is half of 2x? Half of 2x would simply be x. We're told that the angles together, ABC, add up to 54 degrees. So 2x plus x is going to equal 54. So 3x equals 54. My value of x is equal to 18. What are the measures of angle DBC and ABD? Well, DBC, which is here in blue, has a value equivalent to x. And we just said that x is 18, so that's got to be 18 degrees. And ABD is twice the measure of DBC. So that would be 18 times 2 is 36 degrees. Problem 37. Identify the measures of each of these angles. And this problem is straight from one of your quizzes, so it should look very familiar. But I thought it was a good idea to go ahead and give you another chance to review it. And first thing I'm going to state right off the back is, remember, angles are not right angles unless they are identified as such or unless you can prove them as such. So I realize that it's very tempting to look down here at 3 and 4 and say, well, it looks like they're intersecting at a 90 degree. You cannot call them 90 degrees without being able to prove that they are. So let's figure out what we do and what we don't know. And we can't always start with number 1 and say, I know number 1. There's very little information up there next to number 1 for me to start there. I can say right here, I have a straight line, and it's got one angle that's identified as a right angle. And so this combination of angles, those two angles would be also form a right angle, which would make them complementary. 63 degrees plus 5, my angle number 5, which I will call x, has got to equal 90 degrees. So now I subtract 63 from 90, and I determine that my angle number 5 is 27 degrees. Well, I also see right here I have an angle relationship that I can identify. Angle 2 is a vertical angle to this 110 degree angle, so it has to be 110 degrees. And since I have intersecting lines, angle 2 and this blank space over here have got to add up to 180 degrees, so 180 minus 110 is 70. 110 plus 70 forms a straight line right here. And again, 70 is vertical to this angle over here. So we're starting to be able to see how I can put together a lot more information. Well, that makes me look like I can figure out 3. 70 plus 21 plus measure of angle 3, so 70 plus 21 plus another unknown, let's call it y, is it going to equal 180? That's our triangle sum theorem. So that would be 70 and 21 is 91. 180 minus 91 would make this an 89 degree angle. Remember, it's not a right angle unless we can prove it as such, and now we just disproved that it's a right angle because it is not a 90 degree angle. Well, 3 and 4 are supplementary to each other. And supplementary means that they will add up to 180 degrees, so 89 degrees plus, let's call that z, is going to equal 180 degrees. So 4 has got to be 91 because 91 and 89 add up to 180. We're working our way around this image pretty quickly now. Still need that 1. In order to find out that measure of angle 1 up here, I need to know this missing angle in the triangle. I know the other two, so my triangle sum theorem would tell me that 30 plus 110 plus some unknown value, call it c, is going to equal 180. 30 and 110 is 140 plus c equals 180. So now we know that c has got to be 40. Well, if the small angle here is 40 and these two angles form a straight line, the 40 degree angle and my measure for angle 1 form a straight line, angle 1 has to be 140 degrees. Because 140 plus 40 add up to 180. So hopefully you enjoyed doing this part of the study guide, and we will continue on with the rest.